This is the story of mishpacha, family, chutzpah, guts, and bracha, blessings. Up north, 250 miles from Detroit, when this area was home to giant pines, oaks, maples, a Chicago lumber baron, Perry Hanna, established a sawmill on the mouth of the Breneman River, the landing place for many Jews escaping from Eastern European pogroms and conscription in the army in the late 1800s. He was the father of Traverse City, not just a lumberman. He planted the seeds for his laborers to relocate to Traverse City without sacrificing the amenities of home. And one of those seeds was a devotion for religious inclusion. Hanna not only wanted to attract the largest workforce possible, he felt that an array of religious options was a cohesion to bind a new city together. He donated land for several religious gathering places, Methodist, Catholic, and a Jewish congregation right here off of Washington Street, which still can be easily seen near the Breneman River in a picture from the historic old courthouse. Those churches changed when Traverse City developed their current district court next door. Yet the synagogue building has remained pretty much the same since 1885. So began the tale of the building which houses Congregation Beth Shalom. From the Articles of Incorporation, we know that there were 3 trustees. All 3 have descendants still in our area, and our congregation still stands today. The rough and tumble sawmill town of Traverse City was the destination of several gutsy Jewish families. These immigrants, who mostly did not speak English, were welcomed and inhabit a town in the tall timberland of Michigan. Traverse City's current Slabtown district was home to many Bohemian immigrants who were given leftover wooden slabs from the sawmills to construct their homes, aptly named Slabtown, no basements. We have the original Articles of Incorporation and the deed and dues list from 1885, which firmly documents our beginnings of this community of Orthodox Jews as Congregation Bethel, mentioning our 3 founders, Julius Steinberg, Julius Levinson, and Solomon Yalomstein. Cemetery land was also purchased and developed in Traverse City's Oakwood Cemetery. The story I heard was that Bethel had so much land at that time, and Traverse City needed more, that an arrangement was made to deed more to TC along with perpetual care for Bethel's lot. These original families, all immigrating from Suwałki, Russia, Poland, ended up in this area because of the developing lumber industry and a prime arena to sell pots and pans, furs, and other dry goods.
The Russians were inducting all of the young men into their army. And that's when this family all decided to leave. And this was the Levinson, the Steinbergs, the Yalomsteins, the Winklemans. They all came into Detroit, and they spent 2 years in Detroit. This was in 1864. And they spent 2 years learning English, and then they brought their wives and children over. And the only thing they really knew was retail. So with a horse or a mule and a backpack, that's what they did. In 1900, the Yalomsteins moved into Traverse City because they wanted to build a bigger store. So where the penny store is on Front Street, downtown Traverse City, used to be the Yalomsteins' mercantile store. And they did that until about 1908 or 1910, when they are now sitting with all these unmarried daughters and unmarried sons. And there was nobody here to marry them to. They had already married all of the Winklemans out of St. Ignace. So that intertwined the family with the Goldbergs, the Steinbergs, the Goldmans, and the Levinsons.
My family, the Sweet Wines and the Cutsons, came to Detroit in around 1849 for the Sweet Wines and 1885 for the Cutsons. A portion of the family came to Traverse City in 1885, and their name was Steinberg. And they opened up a dry goods store on Front Street. I didn't know anything about them when I came to Traverse City at all. In 1993, we built a house and we lived here permanently. In the first year, I decided to get some investment property. I looked around and I bought an old farmhouse. I went to the courthouse, looked at the records, and it said, Miriam and Julius Steinberg owned 40 acres where this house was located. I called my cousin in Detroit, and she said, Miriam Sweetwine Steinberg is a cousin, and you bought the property from an actual family member. I was just absolutely, I couldn't believe it. It was just incredible.
When we think of the late 1880s, hard to believe that their chutzpah spawned the sophisticated Traverse City that we know today. Julius Steinberg, after a few years of establishing Steinberg's dry goods store down the street from the Hannah Lay building, opened up in 1891 on top of the store a two-storied grand opera house on the north side of Front Street, not to be confused with today's City Opera House, also built around that time by Perry Hannah, the Votruba family, and others. Imagine a bustling Traverse City with two opera houses. Steinberg's Opera House seated 600 to 700 people and was a great success as a theater and dance venue, and movies, until a law was passed forbidding showing movies on the second floor. That was when Steinberg opened up the Lyric Theater in 1915, down the street from the Opera House. Fire took out the Opera House structure in 1923, but the Lyric Theater still survives today as our outstanding state theater downtown. In the late 1880s and early 1900s, approximately 40 Jewish families formed the community, escaping oppression, immigrating, and bringing over family. We were a microcosm of a nationwide movement.
How does it make you feel to know that you're your direct descendants from the families that?
It definitely makes me feel like kind of special, like it's an honor. Like there's pride that one of my ancestors came here from basically nothing and had a very successful life, and then also helped to found this temple. I feel like there's so many questions that are left unanswered that if I can try to figure that out and find more family that kept the Levinson name, that might be out there, because I just don't know. They were big families, so there's got to be some.
There was a slight lull of migration up to Traverse City in the 20s, but by the 30s, more Jewish families were on the move up here, and now we had the descendants of those families, like the Fivensons, the Weitzes, and the Adlers, represented by Lil Ostendorf.
My mother and my dad and my older brother are from Vienna. My father was taken on Kristallnacht along with both my grandfathers and both his brothers. And my dad and one of his brothers were taken to Dachau. My mother got my father out of Dachau. That's too long of a story for me to tell, but trust me, my mother was probably the most intelligent person I've ever known. And she was able to stand in the line that you've all seen with hundreds of people waiting to get an exit visa out of Vienna, way she did that was to carry my 18-month-old brother and find a young stormtrooper to tell him that she had to nurse this baby, and was there any way he could help her. And luck, which was my mother's word all her life, was with her, because this stormtrooper had just had a baby and understood this and walked her through all of the places she needed to go to get the stamps for exit visas for the three of them. At that time, you had to have a sponsor in the United States, and there was a sponsor that was set up by a cousin in Detroit. My mother, my dad, and my brother Steve all left to the United States. So they went to Detroit, and then they came to Traverse City, and the story is really wonderful. They arrived here in a storm, in a blizzard, in front of the Whiting Hotel in downtown Traverse City on a bus. And they stepped off. My mother had a broken arm. She had Steve at her other arm. She forgot her briefcase. My mother spoke 5 languages. My father could speak Yiddish and German. And what was waiting for them? Orthodox Jews from the temple here who were so upset that they didn't get an Orthodox Jew. My dad worked at first at the garbage dump and nearly got killed there because he didn't speak English and the truck was about to back over him. My mother did translation work for Senator Milliken, and she finally went to work with a psychiatrist. And both my parents spent their working life in mental health. My father had the most disturbed patients at the state hospital. He made a deal with the superintendent, who happened to be a friend of ours, that if he took the most disturbed, he was going to be allowed to treat them the way he thought they should be treated, because he knew what it was like to be dehumanized. And he was very successful at that. They lived in a shack over on 8th Street, where I was born. And then they were able to get a house and property where Oak Park School is, at the very end of Washington Street. And I have to say, we had a very happy life in this country. There were lots of things that were disturbing, which we did not know about as 3 children for many years, because my parents could not tell us. It was too painful for them.
My mother grew up in a little town in northern Indiana, Attica, Indiana, near Lafayette, and my father grew up predominantly in Detroit. They met in Detroit, and after my father finished medical school, then a position came up at the, what was previously, before Munson was Munson in a sense, took a job at the state hospital. They decided to move up here. That was in 1938. Both of my parents were Jewish, and it was an interesting place to be in those days in the 1930s and 40s. There was a fair amount of, it was sort of quiet anti-Semitism. The country club had a sign out front, no blacks, no Jews. The Park Place Hotel also had a sign that did not allow blacks or Jews. Within the deeds on Old Mission Peninsula, there were restrictions saying no blacks, no Jews. My parents, in a sense, were pioneers. He was responsible for bringing down the sign at the country club, and sometime in the late 30s, early 40s, they asked him, "Harry, why don't you become a member of the country club?" And my dad said, "Well, have you noticed there's a sign out front, no blacks, no Jews?" And they said, "Well, we hadn't noticed that before. They'd just driven by it all those years." And so a week or so later, the sign came down.
My father was from Russia. He lost 10 of 11 uncles and aunts in the Holocaust. My mother was an instructor in my father's dance studio, and I assume that's where they met. I don't know for sure, but I know at one time he had a dance studio up in St. Ignace and another in Traverse City. We were simply part of the general community. My parents brought us to synagogue for high holidays, and sometimes when we had a rabbi on the Sabbath. Obviously my recollection of that is pretty dim. Thank goodness. My relationship with the non-Jewish community was pretty normal, except that none of them understood or realize the significance of Jewish holidays. So I got quite a bit of that bad name calling and things like that when I was in high school, but none of my classmates knew that I was Jewish or cared.
When I grew up, tended to be somewhat cliquish, both socioeconomically and religiously. I think one did not have to scratch the surface very hard to find either anti-Semitism. I think mostly people were just not very educated as to how to interact with Jewish people, as if they were somebody different. But otherwise, it was wonderful growing up in this environment and the beauty of the area.
When I was growing up and just a little tiny toddler, I had many fond memories when my parents would walk us all the way from West 10th Street all the way to Washington to the synagogue for high holiday services. We'd walk all the way. How far would that be? Maybe 10, 15 blocks or something, or 20 blocks? I don't know. It's a long walk for a little tiny kid about 2 feet tall. I can recall my mother taking me upstairs, up in that big area up there where there used to be a women's seating area, because the women were separated from the men in the early years here in the synagogue. But you could see the men as they nodded off.
At the same time, Traverse City was starting its ascent as an area of new businesses and tourism. We are lucky to have descendants from those families here to tell their tales. Soon the Tarnos from Detroit joined us, and a few other young Jewish couples moved into the area.
When we moved here, the congregation was maybe 40 people. As younger families moved up and we all began to have kids, the congregation began to grow until it got probably 70 to 80 people. By the end of the 70s, there hadn't been an active religious school, and that enabled us to start a religious school. And I think probably through the 80s into early 90s, the religious school, the congregation grew. I've always said it's kind of like a roller coaster. It goes up, it goes down. I think we're at an upsurge right now.
I think the challenge was, if you wanted something, you had to do it yourself. That was a challenge, and also that was the reward, because then you could shape and do it however you wanted it done, in facts, but also in feeling, in the religion, in the language, and in the customs. And that's what the kids remember. The kids remember eating the hamantash and cookies that you make at Purim time, or when you go and sit in a big Seder and you can't eat forever, and then you get to drink a little wine. So those are the things I think we counted upon to make our kids feel Jewish in a non-Jewish town.
I think it's important for us to have a presence in northern Michigan. And I love this building. I love the congregation. I always say that when my boys got bar mitzvahed, we invited my family, my husband's family, some of their friends, and the entire congregation, because they were our northern Michigan family. And our kids, they saw their grandparents, but their grandparents were in the metropolitan Detroit area. So a lot of members up here became like grandparents, family members. And I've felt that way ever since, that it's important to have that social connection, that kids can know that there's other Jewish kids in their schools with them. I've organized so many things with this congregation over the years, and I love doing it. With this 140th anniversary coming up, there's 3 of us who have really been the driving force to make this event special. I kind of figured that by the 150th, I'm going to sit back and relax. But it's just a commitment to make sure this place is here, that our congregation is here, and that we all support each other.
We drew people from Beulah to Kalkaska, Cadillac to Elk Rapids, and another very important couple joined our community. Young in spirit, not age. Booby Jenny and Zadie Julius Belfour, who moved from Boston to join their beloved only son, Al. They became the grandparents of the entire congregation for the rest of their blessed life up here. Their many gifts to the shul were handmade Torah and Ark covers, a gorgeous stained glass window, and a miracle. In 1976, European Torahs had been saved from the fires of the Holocaust, and in 1976, the Westminster Synagogue in London started a program to have synagogues all over the world adopt them. The Balfours generously donated one of the Prague Torahs to our community. The other Torah scroll was given in the late 1800s by Sir Moses Montefiore, the most famous British Jew of that time. In 1977, Bethel was recognized as the oldest synagogue building in continuous use in the state of Michigan. We added a state historic marker to our front yard, emphasizing that this land will forever belong to our congregation. The big celebration included a wonderful gathering of people from downstate, the Reformed Seminary, and our own local governor of the state of Michigan, Bill Milliken, with remarks of the day. In the 1970s, Mickey reinstituted a baby rabbi program, inviting student rabbis to come for the summer and or the holidays to provide leadership, hold services, teach our children, and provide more continuity to our programming. Our own rabbinic leader, Rabbi Arnie, got his start with us and can provide a fabulous perspective of the last 50 years of knowing our congregation.
When I was in junior high, I was offered a scholarship to come to Interlochen in their all-state program. It was an area that I just fell in love with from the youngest age. So when I was in rabbinic school and saw a posting for a summer rabbi, I applied immediately, and that was the beginning of my association with this congregation back in 1982. First of all, I was thrilled and nervous as could be, and it was my first time in a pulpit. My Hebrew was still in its infancy, and my rabbinic school, my rabbinic skills were, just starting out. And here I was, all by myself, trying to be the rabbi. This is such a nurturing congregation. I wasn't their first student. They'd had dozens over the years. They offered feedback and assurance, and they were complimentary, and if there was ever criticism, it was constructive. I think they really enjoyed their role, helping the next generation of rabbis become rabbis.
We have been blessed to have other rabbis who shared their expertise with us, like Rabbi Al Lewis from Grand Rapids. This special Traverse City Jewish fabric has been woven by many hearts and hands. At one point, even, another congregation, Ahavat Shalom, so we had a plethora of programs and services from which to choose.
Being Jewish is unlike being other religions. It's a way of life. It's not just fish on Friday or go to the mosque or whatever and pray. It's more like actually going to a mosque, because we pray 3 times a day and they pray 6 times a day. But it's a way of life.
When Ahavat Shalom was created, I was asked to be involved in that, and I became the first president of Ahavat Shalom, because I kind of felt like, okay, there was Julius president here. My grandparents were also founders of Temple Israel, and so I kind of wanted to pass on that tradition.
For me, every now and then when I feel like I need to connect with something, I take advantage of the roots here. I've been down here a few times in the last year, and it's just nice to know that it's there. I feel a connection to it. I don't always feel like I need the connection, but it's nice to know it's there when I feel like something's not quite right or something's missing.
In 2015, Ahavat Shalom and Bethel merged to become Temple Beth Shalom, blending our unique fabric once again, welcoming those who choose to join in and bring their own talents and support.
It took me a while to get used to the idea of it being a Reformed synagogue, but Judaism is Judaism. The Almighty is the Almighty, and you adapt. And people are people, and even though the traditions are a little bit different, what you follow, you can't fault them for those traditions. You have to respect them.
Back in the early 70s, I was over in Israel. I got in a fight with an Israeli soldier who could not believe that I would stay in this country and subject myself to the draft going into Vietnam when they really needed me. over there. And he was really upset. And I kept telling him, I said, well, I support you, but I said, this is my home in the United States. My home is not Israel.
We are again in the vanguard of the move to live in a beautiful area and welcome another wave of new young and mature settlers to take us into the future. Many people have come to share their memories. Andy Biter from downstate, Mike London from Ohio, current president, and the future, the Jonas family who moved here from New York and had their 2 daughters bat mitzvahed here.
Well, I would say it was drastically different from New York City, where there's synagogues on every block, and you can go to any temple you want any day of the week. And here, it was far more limited. We found that you had to make the holidays yours, and so it wasn't made for you.
I think we came in with high hopes of connecting our family with other Jewish people and quickly becoming involved in the community, and I think that it's one of the warmest, kindest Jewish communities I've ever been a part of. I think one of the things I'm most proud of, every year we host a big Hanukkah party at the Little Fleet, and that's the venue we've chosen for the community, and I think it's really fun to do something not in a synagogue or in a space that's kind of reserved more for that kind of ritual stuff, but to do it out in the community, in the town, and you invite everybody, even if you're not Jewish. You know, every year Traverse City does that great parade around the holidays, and Santa's the end of the parade, and then they light the Christmas tree, and my kids have been a little bit like, hey, what about us? Where's our tradition represented in this big city tradition that all my friends go to? And in other cities like Miami and New York, and with bigger Jewish population, there's big menorahs that get put out for the holidays. And so I thought, well, we should do that in our town. So I ordered a giant menorah.
Giant 9-foot menorah.
And I had Gary call everybody in the city to see if that would be allowed. And sure enough, they were able to put it up in Rotary Square. And so during that time of year, there's the giant Christmas tree and there's Santa. And then our tradition is also represented in a place that everyone in the community knows that there's Jewish people here celebrating other things.
Terry Tarno, she made us some really, really beautiful talis. We went over to Terry's house and she helped us pick out colors, and she weaved these colors onto the loom and made us some really pretty talis.
And she's done it for
many
I don't know, 20, 30, 40, 50 bat mitzvah kids throughout the years. She weaves these beautiful talises that
I picked out like a pretty shade of like pink and cream and like little gold accents, maybe some orange in there. And then she weaved it and she gave it to me a couple weeks before my bat mitzvah.
What colors did you pick, Maddie?
Like rainbow colors.
It's beautiful.
Every class I've been in like my entire life, I haven't really had any like Jewish friends in. And I've made a lot of new Jewish friends through the synagogue that are really amazing people, but it's also really nice to teach my friends who aren't Jewish about what we do here and like how we celebrate our holidays.
And at his school, you actually have the most Jewish kids.
Yeah.
Yeah, how many Jewish friends are at your school?
Well, in my class there's only one, but at one point in my class I had 3 Jewish kids in my class.
That's a big deal in Traverse City.
Well, unless we get younger members, unless we get something that draws younger members in. Now, Arnie just built a house up here, so he'll be here more often. It makes a big difference. And even then, I do see some improvement because we have 2 young ladies that are sort of run services on a lay-led basis and do a lovely job. I think when people put commitment into something, you get results. If you don't put commitment into something, you don't get results.
Every organization, especially a religious organization, needs 2 things. They need membership and cash flow. And without membership, you're not going to get cash flow. And without cash flow, you're not going to be able to maintain the needs of the membership. The future of this synagogue is going to be based upon younger families coming into the area and raising their kids.
The future for the congregation, I think, is really limitless. We are in a very, very good time. The congregation is fortunate to have Rabbi Arnie, who is our Rabbi Emeritus. I'm a big proponent allowing people to develop their own areas of interest. We've got a book club now that meets. We've got the kids program that I mentioned. We created an endowment fund, which we're in the process of trying to build up in order to provide financial security for the congregation. The sense of anti-Semitism in this country and in the world has worsened. To suggest that it didn't exist previously is nonsensical. It's part of the fabric of humanity. I mean, it's existed for 4,500 years, and it will probably exist for another 4,500 years going forward. We have to be careful how we announce public relations things to just members of the congregation itself. We have a security system which is hooked directly to the police department. We have security people here during services. Unfortunately, all those things it's hard to imagine, but they're necessary. But they also cost money. And when you have a limited congregation, we have about probably about 90 active family units. Who would have thought 15 years ago that your budget would have to include X number of dollars per year for security purposes? That's a line item no different than paying for the rent, paying for the electricity. It's real. To bury your head in the sand like an ostrich, in my mind, is not the right answer. On the other hand, to give in and not do what the things you want to do as a Jewish person or as a Jewish community, I think that's equally nonsensical.
One of the things that this congregation has been blessed with is great leadership. Folks who have been around a long time, folks who have just come in the last few years, they step up and they're willing to volunteer in significant ways and with lots of time. So I've been really lucky to have great presidents and board of trustees and other volunteers who love this place and love serving it. So that's sort of the genius of this congregation, is the number of people who are willing to be a part of it, and that's what gives me hope in for another 140 years.
The dream of being able to practice Judaism as you desire is the fire that has stoked our people for centuries. Here we relish the new people coming to get involved. No matter what age group, there is room for all to plan, gather, and continue to weave this special Jewish essence into the midst of Traverse City, hopefully forever.
I know this video is being viewed at the 140th Gala, and I just want to say to every one of you here that it's an incredible privilege to be your rabbi, and I couldn't be more proud of who you are, who you've been, and who I know you will be over the years. You're an amazing congregation, and I hope you know that and feel it deep inside and help to make it possible for generations to come to be part of such an amazing congregation. Mazel tov to you all.
This is Zach Vivenson. My bar mitzvah was in 1993, and my rabbi was Mark Strauss-Cohn. And some of my fond memories of Temple of Bethel, when we were kids, young kids, halfway through the service, my mom and dad would let us, my brother Adam and I, go downstairs and to avoid having to attend the full service. We get to go downstairs and play with the toys. And that was always, I have to admit, that was probably my favorite part of going to shul as a young kid.
My name is Maddie Jonas. My bar mitzvah was with Rabbi Oni. My January 25th. I really like the tallest that Terry Tiny for me.
My name's Viola Jonas. My bat mitzvah was with Rabbi Arnie in March 2025. And it's really special to see all my friends and family learn more about Judaism.
Hi everyone, happy 140th anniversary. I'm so pleased to have the chance to be with you today. I'm Adam Fivenson. I was born in 1985 at Munson Hospital, and I just wanted to share a few quick memories of growing up Jewish in Traverse City. First, I got to play Ahasuerus one year in the Purim party in the play, and it must have been around 1993 or so. It was there at the temple, and I remember I had this amazing crown of gold. I thought it was so cool, and then at some point there was a gag where my pants fell down, tastefully of course. It was a really important moment for me at that age, a big feather in my cap as an 8-year-old, and it was my big debut on the stage. It actually led to my first Tony nomination back in 1973. No, I'm kidding. But it was a lot of fun, and it was a great memory.
My name is Rachel Allen. I had my bat mitzvah at Temple Beth El in 2002 with Rabbi Plout. I'm so happy that I was able to share such a special moment with my Traverse City family, and I know how much Temple Beth El meant to my Nana and Grandpa, and I was so thrilled to be able to have that experience, and so happy that I've been able to continue that and have Rabbi Arnie do my wedding 23 years after that, and still be a part of the Temple Beth El family. Congratulations on 140. It's super incredible. I'm sorry I can't be there, but I hope everyone has a great time. Thanks.
Hi, I'm Sharon Kowalski. I had my bat mitzvah on June 9th, 1985 with Rabbi David. Here's a picture of how I looked then and how he looked. And I was the only kid in my age group for 5 years above me and 5 years below me. So I was kind of on my own, but I really enjoyed hanging out with the younger religious school kids, especially for my brother's group, which was 5 years below me, and helping them learn. I remember being tutored for my bat mitzvah in the little bedroom above the up the stairs in the temple, and I just have such fond memories of growing up in such a small and very welcoming environment at the time. And I always really remember being at the temple with great fondness. So congratulations for so many years, and I hope it continues for a long, long time.